Welcome.
All right.
Hi, good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening out there in Rachel Land. We are so very happy to introduce our guest tonight. We are encountered with so many problems with dealing with mental health due to this pandemic era in which we are experiencing, and we are addressing tonight mental health and anxieties and a lot of problems like this. And we bring before you our CEO tonight, Miss Nefertiti Amran, and she is the CEO of the Lotus Behavioral Health and Rehabilitation Services. So we're going to bring her before you tonight, and she's going to tell us what she is all about. I'm sure you're going to glean a lot of information out of her tonight.
Absolutely. Good evening. Thank you all for having me, Miss Farmer, and your beautiful family, and the girls, I should say, for bringing me on and taking this opportunity to share with me my thoughts and my contribution to the field of mental health. I am definitely here to offer any knowledge that could be of any use, helpful tips, and talking points to help us weather these many different storms that comes across our lives that has been exacerbated, particularly during the pandemic. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we'd like to just tell us what your programs entails, how to help the community.
We are a minority-owned and women-owned behavioral health organization that specializes in the treatment of cognitive behavioral therapy and child psychiatry. We are located in 3 locations currently while working on our 4th, and that is Chester, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, Maryland. Pending is Wilmington, Delaware, and also San Diego, California. And geographically, we target different programs for different areas, depending on what the needs are in those communities that we serve. But we do target at-risk populations, low income individuals, children, and their families who are at risk of out-of-home placement, who may be dealing with a variety of mental health challenges and may just need that extra support. We have made it easier for them to access those services and to keep them at no cost to them. So we have paneled with a variety of insurance panels so that they can continue to receive the support they need without any financial barriers between them and treatment.
All right.
Wow. So you know what? I saw in the video you had something called I Promise. It was on the walls in the classroom. What is that about?
That is our current program, our most recent one that would be hybrided in direct response to the COVID pandemic.
Okay.
We knew that inherently children with behavioral health challenges that was already receiving services and who were at risk of needing those type of support services inside the school, we knew that hybrid model wouldn't be beneficial to them academically, emotionally at home. So we decided to do an on-site virtual learning piece where the children could come on board, come into our location, receive tutoring while logged into the schools, and making sure that the attendance stayed up to par, making sure they matriculate across their daily curriculums and complete the assignments as given by the instructor virtually. Okay. We also added an enrichment program to that. So right after the school was over, they had after school programs where we teach them an enrichment skill, feed them fresh cooked food, and allow them some free play in a safe environment. Okay. So I Promise is an emotional support and enrichment program.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh. That's our greatest jewel right now. I'm very proud of that program.
Okay.
I'm really proud of its design and its goals that we have set for it, and I look forward to its expansion. Okay.
So can anybody enroll in that, or how can they enroll in that program?
It's targeted right now at this level because, again, the program is fairly new. Okay. It's targeted right now for grade school children between grades K to 12.
Okay.
So right now we're unable to service any grades outside of that. Okay. And it's specifically designed for children with behavioral health challenges and mental health and emotional needs.
Okay.
So how did you get started with your
me personally, by profession, I'm a psychotherapist.
Okay.
We decided to expand on Lotus after a long, rich history with my grandmother doing personal care facilities throughout the city of Philadelphia for 30 years. And when she passed away, we decided to expand services to reach other targeted members and to continue to provide, carry on the legacy of providing mental health wellness as she did. So that's initially how I got our start. Once we did that, that was 2011. We then became a nonprofit in 2014 and more operational with the delivery of our programmatic structure in 2017.
Okay.
And we just been, keeping it upward mobility since then.
Man, that's awesome.
Okay. Wow.
So why the lotus flower?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
We liked what it represented. It represents strength, purity. It's a flower that grows out of mud, but its petals comes through that mud unscathed by the soot. And we thought that was befitting to the clients that we serve and a reflection of the women that owns it.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay.
That's great.
Yes. So, and you, that program is called I Promise. Why is it named I Promise?
Again, as a therapist being on the front line, I was dissatisfied with a lot of the operational the operations of how services were being delivered to our inner city youth, particularly African American, Latino children. And I decided to take that frontline skill set plus my education and design a program specifically targeting the gaps. And with that in mind, I'm sure not to take the, credibility away from other providers, but I'm sure at somewhere along the lines in the beginning, when they was laying down the foundation of their program, they had good intentions, but somewhere along the way, it dissolved. So I promise we made it a conscious decision to keep our promise as we deliver these services. And the name will always remind us to do that.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
excellent.
That's
Oh,
what
that's
children
excellent.
need.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
especially now, since like you said, with COVID, a lot of the kids are maybe depressed, have
Yes.
anxiety.
For
You were
sure.
talking about committing suicide, all that kind of stuff.
The suicide rate is up by 60% amongst teenagers right now.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
Lord.
That's very, very alarming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's very alarming.
Yeah.
To a therapist, that's for sure. It's concerning.
Yes.
Okay.
How do you address the illnesses like the depression, different sicknesses, like they say, like bipolar? How do you address that in the child?
Well, according to the DSM-5, in order to qualify to have a diagnosis, you must be demonstrating behaviors for 6 months straight.
Wow.
Oh,
I didn't know
wow.
that.
Really?
Yeah, so it's not like, you show the behavior for a few weeks and then you're depressed. It has to be demonstrated for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And once it meets those markers, then there's a biopsychosocial examination, which look at the biological, psychological, and sociological stressors that are befalling you. And through the outcome of that assessment determines what diagnostic criteria you fall under.
Wow.
So that's how you kind of identify what's going on to put it in any category of mental health, whether it's depression, bipolar, or anything, but it's the same assessment scale.
Right.
You talk about stressors. What would we be
It's
looking
a biopsychosocial assessment. So it targeted, it assessed the individual at the biological level, psychological level, and the sociological level. And it's about a 10-page assessment document that we administered during the enrollment process, and that steers the direction of treatment.
But as a parent, what would she be looking for?
She would be looking for stark, disruptive patterns in your child. Any deviations for an extended period of time in behavior, in conduct, in mood, in interest, attention. Those are some of the key markers you want to focus on when trying to determine whether something is going on internally with your child, and if it's extending over an extended period of time, if it's lasting over an extended period of time. I would say if you notice that it's going on for about 4 weeks, I would take my child in and get an evaluation. during these
Wow.
days and time.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you think being fixated on all this media, not media, but technology, like excessive behavior with cell phones and
Oh, like social media stuff.
gaming and all of those types of things play a
Social
big part
media.
in these problems? Yes, social media.
Yes and no. Um, if you're mentally sound and you have a formidable foundation of who you are that's being engineered at home by your loved ones, and you are in a healthy living environment, these things are not going to negatively affect your mind to the point it will cause maladaptive behaviors. However, the contrary, if you are in an unhealthy living environment and you're escaping through social media, then you are more susceptible to falling prey of some of the negative exposures and targets that are right there at your fingertips on social media. So I wouldn't charge everything to social media because that's not a living entity. Those are just a conglomerate of people coming together to share, express ideas, whether they're appropriate or inappropriate.
Right.
So it's not the entity per se. These are just people gathered in one location on one platform, demonstrating whoever they are at the individual level, but on a collective platform. So I can't just put that on social media. I would put that back on the individual and their environment.
How do you feel about parent? What should we look for? Like, suppose our child just stays in their room all day long, you know, and don't interact with the family. Is that like
They're avoiding the family if you're looking at that pattern of behavior. For sure.
Okay.
And if they're avoiding the family, that means they're looking to avert some type of negative experience.
Wow.
So we avoid the things that are painful to us or hurtful to us in some capacity or another. So if they're not communicating, because all naturally, you know, your personality will have you either introverted or extroverted. That's one facet of it. But avoidance is something altogether different.
Okay.
And it speaks to a deeper psychological impression.
Wow. Wow.
So how would you answer this? You have a child that's nice, you know, that's in compliance with everything, they're quiet, then all of a sudden they display explosive behavior all of a sudden. Like you hear on news, children, he was so nice, and you could go ahead and like shoot 5 people. And they were so nice all these years. How do you explain something like that?
Pardon me if this sounds a little forward, but nice people don't shoot people. That's first of all.
That's true.
So it's suppressed thoughts. That's always been there. Maybe they were trying to placate the people that were in front of them to avoid further agitation or whatever of the mood, whatever the circumstances were. I can't call it because obviously I wasn't there to know all those details, but whatever they were doing that gave the veneer of that compliant behavior, that was just a cover to mask a deeper issue, because at the deeper level was rage.
Okay.
And that's what engineered that explosive outbreak. And that just don't happen overnight. And behaviors don't exist in a vacuum. It's a compilation that brings people to a point of explosive behavior.
Wow. Yeah.
And that starts in childhood. Beginning with primary relationships. I want to always preference that. I know a lot of people say, well, you know, his dad wasn't there, but his stepdad was a great guy. He's always been there, loved him like his own. And the same can be true about the mother and the stepmother, what have you. But when we're saying primary relationship, we're talking about the actual people that made you, your biological parents. Those are your primary relationships. Every relationship outside of that are secondary relationships. And how you experience those primary relationships dictate how you see yourself in all secondary relationships, to include your world view. It shapes it. So we want to be careful when we're looking at behaviors that is maladaptive, to go back to the genesis of that child's upbringing to see where these things may have gotten off track.
So what if the child, they don't know who their mother or father is, and you know they're motherless? So how would you assess that child, to see, I guess, where the issues stem from? How would you be able to do that?
It's still with the assessment, the biopsychosocial assessment. And again, the biopsychosocial covers evaluation. We evaluate at the biological level, the psychological level, and the sociological level. And it's a very relied upon document that we use in our industry. And it does bring us to a credible point to make a proper diagnosis.
Okay.
No matter what the disruptive pattern behaviors may be, the assessment narrows it down to what the clinical impression of it means. Okay. And what those experiences how that experience have impacted you psychiatrically.
Okay.
So that's the outcome of the assessment, to see where you are psychiatrically as a result of this. And we also do the psychiatric assessment as well to determine, well, let me back up. The biopsychosocial, it gives us an overview of the psychological makeup of where you are. That is combined with a psychiatric evaluation. So we use two assessment tools. And then with that combination of that assessment influence, we are able to draw a healthy conclusion of what psychological impressions and what psychiatric impressions dictates the course of treatment.
Okay.
If that answers your question. Did that answer your question? I know that was a lot.
It was a lot.
I know that was a lot.
All this medical information and stuff.
Did I
And
to
we
be a
are
doctor
non-medical.
after finish this show.
But Miss Nefertiti, we did have a program years ago in a youth session at church, and they were defining which is the stronger, environmental or heredity. And even though you might not be with your biological mother, you don't know her, heredity will still play a part in your makeup, even though you don't know them, you never met them. But environment has a lot to do. So it was a good session. We never did get to the end of it because we're not medical people.
Yeah, we didn't have Nefertiti to be there. She could have helped them out.
I have a question. How should a stepmom or a bonus mom interact with their children?
I like to say this: words that are spoken from the heart are felt by the heart. Mm-hmm. If you organic and authentic and transparent in everything that you do, mm-hmm. the child is going to pick up on that.
Okay.
All you have to do is rely on authenticity and be sincere in your approach, and the rest of unpack naturally.
That's good.
That's good.
That's very good. Yeah.
But
so a parent that's like a bonus parent, and they have the stepchildren or bonus children, like they say, well, stepchildren. So what if they feel like they have a good heart, they have every good intention, but they are apprehensive about the way they speak to that child, and they have a good heart and they try to be themselves, but they kind of shy away from being themselves. They don't want to come out too forward to a child. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. So then that way, how do they address that child?
That's a good question and a good angle. I stand on being authentic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Words that are spoken from the heart are felt by the heart. Okay. If you are authentic in your approach and you are sincere about the mm-hmm. things you are saying, that child is going to receive it.
So don't shy away from it.
Just say what you need to say, but say it with respect, diplomacy, love, care, patience, tolerance, understanding, all those things that we would want if that was our predicament.
That's real.
But if you have like teenagers, sometimes you may feel like you need to walk on eggshells. You don't
choke them.
No. Eggshells.
I would just say, just try to find, I know that's even more challenging with the adolescents when it comes to bonus parenting. if you will. I would just still keep the same criteria of authenticity. At the same time, because they're becoming their own individual, space is always appropriate. At the same time, they don't have it all together, so we don't want to present like they do, and we want to still remember that we are in the adult role and that our influence matter. So it's just finding a healthy way to deliver it to them, because they need it, because they don't have the answers.
That's so good.
And then they're broken because they don't have that other parent in that home.
Absolutely. And they feel like this being forced on them to accept another parent, which tells them that I have to let the other parent go.
Yeah.
So that's the internal compromise that they're dealing with, that has to be addressed in a clinical setting.
And then if you have your own biological child in the mix, you know, they might just feel like there's a difference or something, or you can be firm with your own child rather than what you call these new names? You call
bonus.
Yeah, that's new. That sounds like I'm getting a bonus on my job or something. I never heard that
sound like money or something.
Yeah.
So Nefertiti, have you ever had to deal with that with the child, like a stepchild or bonus child that had issues? And
in the clinical setting?
Yes.
All the time.
Okay.
All the time, and it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a walk in the park.
Right.
I mean, my clinical recommendations comes out smoothly, but it's a world away between what I'm saying and achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And to hurdle these steps to get these things accomplished, it takes a lot of dedication from all participants.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time, it takes trust, it takes love, it takes commitment. And, you know, we all fall short of that, but without that long-term commitment, it's just going to be rocky. It don't have to be rocky because of the circumstances, but it has become rocky because of the circumstances.
Wow, that's real good. Okay, I want to ask a question, comment question. I am an English tutor and I work with other tutors, and I've been hearing about the children's diets and the way they eat. Can you speak to that? You know, the way they eat, having something to do with their behavioral health?
Absolutely, and that's a very good angle. And we should bring that conversation up more in therapy when we're evaluating and when we're treating. Absolutely, the diet has a lot to do with how you behave. I'm not going to mention the type of food. I'm just going to mention the contribution of what certain things are, and I'll just name a few. Think sugar, think hormones, think mercury, just to name a few.
Yeah.
Those, once they get in your bloodstream and start circulating, those things do exactly that. So once those things are in your blood, it begins to impact your biological makeup. Because they got to digest and go down to something.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So that's now landing in your blood.
Right.
So of course, what you eat impacts how you behave, for sure. You are what you eat in a real way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we should all be vegetarian?
No, I knew you were going to say that. No.
Go vegan.
With a lot of fruit and a lot of vegetables, right?
And we do have a vegan daughter and a vegetarian daughter. And we have another daughter. She's like everything.
What? So
Yes.
I eat like a pescatarian. I don't eat meats at all. Well, I do eat like fish and some shrimp, because my doctor said that I need the shrimp for iodine, because I don't know another source of iodine. So I don't eat it all the time. I eat it sparingly. But I don't eat meats at all, except for, like I said, the fish and stuff like that. And I eat a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, you know, a lot of protein. And get my protein from my legumes. Eat a lot of legumes, you know.
Legumes. And protein is also in
beans and all. I'm sorry.
Green vegetables has a lot of protein as well.
That's how I was trying to explain to people. They be like, "You're not getting your protein because you're."
It's in all green vegetables.
Yeah.
All green. And then
I hear that is in all green vegetables.
And beans and peas.
And beans and legumes is a high source of protein and fiber. So those are good sources as well. Just get a food chart and
Right.
follow that, and that'll give you a adequate start for sure. But yes, I do recommend that parents be more mindful of what they're giving their children, and even if they don't eliminate it from their diet, at least restrict it.
Yeah.
At least restrict the frequency of it and the quantity.
Yeah.
But you know
Do
what
they
I
have the
find?
food charts in school? I haven't seen those food
I
charts.
remember to have that when I was
think
younger,
they
but
did.
I
When I
haven't
was
seen
younger,
them
they
in
had the
recent
food
years.
chart.
Yeah, but I
didn't-
mean, do they
yeah.
have it now? I
Yes,
remember
we
that.
I haven't seen that
Michelle
in
put them
years.
back in there.
You are
But
so
I
funny.
tell you what,
You are too
with this with the disparity of like money and stuff,
Yeah.
they you buy the food that's not good for you because it's more reasonable.
That is
That's
Some of the
true.
food that my kids buy,
Oh,
that's
that's so true.
expensive food.
Yeah,
But the
absolutely
regular
true.
people like me, like who I came up to be, we just got by on fried food.
Well, frozen vegetables is the same price as canned vegetables and fresh vegetables. And then you could get brown rice instead of white rice.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can get vegan butter instead of regular butter.
Yes, get some
Brown
vegan
sugar
butter.
instead of white sugar. So
That's
there's still
right.
ways we can still keep ourselves healthy even on a restricted budget.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wanted to be an advocate about putting grocery stores back into the neighborhoods. Like
That's important.
They took them all out. Like
Yeah.
when I was coming up, what was the name of the grocery store, Mom? Was it not A&P? What was next to us?
Well, Pantry
Um,
Pride.
What was it?
I don't remember
It
because there
was.
were so
Oh,
many.
but
They
Nefertiti,
changed.
they
a lot.
took the grocery store out and put in a Family Dollar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this neighborhood, it was like on the
Dollar.
east
Yeah.
side. So now the
Yeah.
people have to go into the
Yeah.
Family Dollar to get that
Exactly.
food out of the freezer to eat, and that's affecting the mental health. So I
Absolutely.
think it's on purpose. You know what I
It
mean?
could be on
Every
purpose.
time a neighborhood goes down, they take the grocery store out of there.
Absolutely.
Those corner stores in there with the chicken boxes, all that,
Yep.
all that
Absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and they
Yeah.
wonder why the crime is so prevalent in these areas.
Absolutely.
People need to look at that. So I think
Right.
they have been like Marsh Funeral Home. Have you heard? I think they have like a grocery store or something in their area where they have fresh produce for the.
Oh, okay. I think I heard something about that.
Yeah, but we just
Yeah.
need more. We need to somehow be an advocate and fight.
That's
for that.
important.
Yeah.
I think all that plays a role in holistic health.
Yeah.
And I think these type of passionate conversations
Mhm.
lay the foundation or further the conversation to getting these things implemented in these distressed communities
Right.
Mhm.
and rebuilding them, beginning with the youth,
Mhm.
because they're the ones with the energy. So we
Mhm.
have to put our wisdom behind their energy.
Right. That's good.
Right.
And
Right.
you know
So
what?
how do you?
and
I'm sorry,
and
go
a
ahead.
lot of the they said eating vegan or healthy or whatever is more expensive. And I heard that before, but somebody said it's not necessarily true. Because
Right.
like you said, you can get vegetables and
Fruits.
apples and
Yeah.
fruits and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And it's some of the things are cheaper,
Correct.
to get those things, but you can't be lazy. You gotta cook.
And you have to cook.
That's the
Now,
thing. You have to
Make
cook.
it taste like meat.
have to cook.
I made my mushrooms taste like meat.
Okay.
And
This
this
is
is
a-
a
you have
Cauliflower,
to
you get
cook.
those buffalo cauliflower wings.
Oh, they are good.
But this day, people are working and they just rush. So it's so easy for them to just grab a box from like a McDonald's because they just rush and and they're doing so much.
I mean, we have to take the necessary steps to do the right thing. We don't make time for our wellness, we'll be forced to make time for our illness, whether that's mentally, nutritionally, or what have you. We have to make time for these things. These things are important and they require our commitment. You can food prep on Sunday, make shorter meals. It takes 20 minutes to make a cooked meal.
Right.
I know that.
Even if you buy canned beans because you don't feel like soaking the beans, when you buy those canned beans, you just take them home and rinse all of the contents all of it, and then make it and then replace it with your own. And that's 10 minutes. So again, it depends on how committed you are to achieving the goal.
Yeah.
But we can't have it both ways. We have to do the necessary work to get the desired outcomes.
Yeah.
Yes,
This is
get
where
a crock
education
pot.
comes in.
You know,
This is where
and
education
slow
comes
cook
in at
meals.
too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
educate.
What was that, Mom?
This where education come in at. We
Mhm.
should in our schools we should have a class with education and you pass down stuff too. But with my
Right.
family of 14, I would do a lot of prep like on weekends, and then I would cook in bulk and freeze, you know, so you wouldn't have to be cooking every single day, but most of the
Exactly.
time. And stay at home moms, that helped a lot too. Some,
Yeah.
you know, that to do that. You take time
Can't
to
stay
just
home,
cook
Can't stay
mom.
bread.
home now.
And
We
then,
can't
Right.
stay home.
Stay
and some,
home.
And I'm
I
saying
don't
you
mean to
can't
step
do
on,
it now.
Yeah.
I don't mean to step on
Absolutely.
anybody's toes, but some of these, you know, younger mothers out here is not so much as being expensive, it's just being lazy.
Mhm.
You know, not so much I'm working, and it's just being lazy, you know. So we
Yeah.
have to put our children's health, you know, first.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
you were saying.
that's a
Mhm.
very good point. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying like you were saying, you know, we have to care about that, you know. Yeah.
You
So
figure
stop
what
being lazy.
30 years ago
Mhm.
versus now, the national average, the national average for grandmothers now in 2021 is age 35.
Wow.
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 Good Lord.
35.
Grandmother?
Grandmother.
Yikes.
35 years old. So
You know,
Wait a minute, let her finish.
you just got grown.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, no sooner than you're getting yourself
So
stable,
true.
Right.
you're responsible for 2 generations.
Mhm.
Wow.
You don't have the
Wow.
capacity to lead such a
Mm.
important role, unfortunately. And you
Mhm.
have to have some degree of maturity and stability when you give birth to a new life. And when your children give birth to new life, somebody got to teach somebody something.
Right.
You are
Yes. Say
preaching.
that
you know,
again.
it's
Say that
it's
again. Say
amazing you
life.
said that,
Us-
Nefertiti. It's amazing. You know what I was thinking about
What are you
yesterday?
thinking about, Mom?
That I knew it was a great grandmother, age 48.
Exactly.
Wow.
Gracious.
And
Wow.
each generation was 12 years old when
Exactly.
they had a child.
That's
And
a
the
signature.
baby, the last one did get married, and she had like a lot of kids. Everybody was 12 years old, and they were like a great grandmother at 48.
But that's because people are broken and they need
Wow.
help.
And you know what
No,
else?
it's mental health. It's mental health. The people are broken because of the household dynamics and all that kind of stuff, you know.
And another thing
Absolutely.
too is a
Yeah.
lot of these teenagers, females, they just want a baby, you know, but you have to let them know you are bringing in a life. This is a life, not just a baby. It's a life that you have to care for, and for the rest of your life, and for the rest of the baby's life. You know, that's, well, I used to work at the high school, and I would tell those young ladies that, you know, what you're doing, you know, you're going to have a baby, and
Yeah.
you know, that's a life that you are bringing, you know, into the world.
Go
So
get a
they don't
dog or
understand that.
something.
Unfortunately, and I emphasize that again,
Mhm.
unfortunately, they're bringing life into this world for the baby to give them love, not for them
Yeah.
to give the baby love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them for attention.
Absolutely. There's a void there that stems from that unfulfillment we were speaking of outside of this platform here, and the unfulfillment beginning in those former years of your life when you begin to matriculate across the developmental cycle. You're missing fundamental things that gives you the wholeness that you need to move forward in a healthy way.
Mhm.
So you start looking for love in all the wrong places, and you're not able to reciprocate those things that you're desiring to have. So you end up sabotaging, and you end up avoiding things that threatens you. It's just a cyclical thing where, you know, it just becomes inherently self-destructive.
Wow.
And these are some of the clinical things that lie so deep on this beneath the surface that it really does have to be unpacked and discussed more. Mental health, mental wellness, I like to say, needs to be discussed more, particularly in African American and Latino communities. We must deal with mental wellness and discuss it more. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that certain things that are necessary for you to lead a healthy life, certain measures and pointers that you need, or certain circumstances that you've experienced has become unmanageable.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And you need new insight on how to overcome those things using specific methods to get it done without deepening what the situation already is.
Right.
Wow.
So it's more or less mental wellness and learning strategies to develop your mind to become stronger and put some distance between those old patterns that have not been useful and to move towards a more healthy way of living.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. You do a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Right. This is heavy.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Does the regular insurance policy handles this program?
Yes, ma'am. We do accept Medicaid, Cigna, Aetna, Care First. And this is just across all locations, but I'm just giving you the panels that I can recall offhand. I don't
Okay.
particularly oversee that, but just what I can recall, those are at least 5 that I know we have.
Okay.
Okay.
So the children in the inner cities can definitely access the services at no out-of-pocket cost to them or their families.
Right.
Oh, okay. So where do you get most of your clients from?
We accept our referrals from the primary care physician, the school counselor. We all contracted with Baltimore City Public Schools. We work closely now we're newly developing our relationship with Baltimore City Parks and Recs, using them as safe havens in the community. We work closely with community partners, community providers, faith-based organizations who are joined in their commitment in helping us strengthen our youth. So that's where we get a lot of our referrals. The community, the Medicare, their primary care, the school districts, and whatever recreational areas that they may frequent.
And how about the police department, the juvenile services like that?
Again, my mind go back to the word, unfortunately, not making light of the seriousness of it. At the same time, we want to, it's not like a come one, come all kind of a thing, because it's different levels of need.
Okay.
Oh,
So you can't just throw everybody in one pot.
okay.
So if you just got out of juvenile detention and you got an 8-year-old there who ain't never been in there, they just threw a few books in the classroom. Those are 2 different levels of clinical need. So you wouldn't want to join that together. That's not mutually beneficial to either.
Okay.
So it depends. So we have programs that we design, and that program that specifically targets that population we haven't rolled out yet, because it's really intense. And then the entities that gives us the children are not always stewards over the child at the extent of which they're responsible for once they start referring them out. So then it puts the onus on the provider to then pick up the weight.
Okay.
And that this leads to more dysfunction, and it just, makes the pattern, it repeats the pattern that we're trying to break. We want to get them rehabilitated and get them onto a stable platform to begin building. But the way they just throw the referrals out there and just don't back it, and inconsistent with the case managers and tracking their progress and helping us help them, it just becomes counterproductive.
Okay.
So when we address that population, we want to be able to not have to rely on that, so that we can maintain the order in which our services are delivered, so we can have the best results.
Do you are there any facilities that can keep a child like overnight or over week if there need be service like that?
Those are called respite services. If they need to stay temporarily, then you have partial hospitalization, where they go during the day, but it's all clinical based and receive psychiatric support there. And then there's inpatient. So you stay there for a finite amount of time, but if you're a child or adolescent, it's residential inpatient, like Devro or I'm not really sure which ones are here in Baltimore, but a residential one with a child is now a client there. So they live there until they discharge, and they work their treatment plan on the premises. So they attend their schooling there, they receive their clinical support there, and their social skill building all on the campus, but they don't go home.
Wow.
They have to earn those things through visits and all of that. And it's really intense. That's really for more intense levels of behavior, more long-standing, intense levels of behavior. And we don't particularly service children on that level yet.
Okay.
What is your success rate, Nefertiti?
Say that again.
What is your success rate?
With attendance, 98%.
Okay.
With compliance to the process, not necessarily the outcome,
Right.
but sincere commitment to give it a go, about 98%.
Oh, wow. Good.
Behavioral improvement with regards to minimizing the disruptive pattern of behavior that is demonstrated in other environments unrelated to our services is in the 90th percentile as well.
Wow.
Girl.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
What about with the cooperation from the parents or the ones who, have the children,
I'm sorry, someone came
How
in.
about the cooperation? You find that the those who have the children, they are in compliance, they're pretty cooperative with you and your program.
Here's what I've learned, and here's the short answer to your question. And this is when we really paid attention to it and recognized it was a niche of ours. When children are coming into a healthy environment, a clean environment, a safe environment, a nurturing environment, kind staff, fresh food, being treated with dignity and respect, they thrive. And it fastens their commitment to participate. Who doesn't want to be great?
Right.
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to be great?
Yeah.
So if you're in an environment that condones that, then you're going to reflect that. You're going to be a reflection of that environment. So that is why the children are most compliant in there. They might come in unruly. The treatment plans will scare you and their background will scare you. But when they get there, they give it their Sunday behavior.
Okay.
And the parents
like
want
that.
help.
That is
I'm
excellent.
quite sure I would be in compliance. I'm like, take this child, help me.
Help them.
Right.
Help me, help us.
So that's why right now our focus is to, we're really focused on getting hubs now. That is of utmost importance. We need community providers to lock arms with us, to provide us safe havens. We need adequate, committed, integrity field therapists who are ready to roll their sleeves up and really help these children and allow them to be children. Children have not changed. Childhood has changed.
Right.
That's good.
So we have to play our part.
Mm-hmm.
We have to play our part. So we're
what?
calling on the communities. If you have space in your community center, if you have space in your churches that you're not using, we would like to use that space and bring the children in that community to that space and bring that program there.
That's good.
So
that's
the goal.
Very good.
That's awesome.
And you do accept volunteers?
We accept volunteers,
cooking and cleaning or something like that.
Absolutely. And we prefer teenagers so we can get them off the street and get them engaged in positive things.
Excellent.
Man,
That's good.
I was going to ask you a question, but it's about your health. I was like, how do you stay sane?
That's what I was going to ask you today.
When you're dealing with because a lot of these things are like what children are going through, and it could weigh on you. Like even listening to you, my heart was just going out.
Yeah.
Like, goodness, like these kids.
We're gonna put her on our prayer list.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you keep your sanity, Nefertiti?
To be honest, I live by the things I teach.
Okay.
I'm the first recipient of the things that comes out my mouth. I'm the first student of the things that I say.
Mm-hmm.
So I live by what I teach. Second, I don't let other people's problems become my problems, no matter who they are.
That's
Right,
key.
that's good.
And then lastly is I don't solve people problems. I help people solve their own problems.
That's
Yeah.
good. Very good.
That
Very
would
good.
definitely
Okay.
take the stress.
That's how I keep it off of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put the onus where it belongs,
Right.
Yeah.
no matter
That's
the
good.
age.
We need to do that.
I like that.
I don't know how to do that.
I need
I
to
was
do
getting ready to
that.
start crying while she was talking. No, I'm serious. Because my heart just
Right.
goes out,
Yes,
you know, to
absolutely.
these children
Absolutely.
that's hurting and, you know,
They
all of
are.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
So,
serious. It's very serious.
Absolutely.
We need all hands on deck. We need
Yeah.
everybody's sleeves rolled up, and we need parents to not lose adults to not lose their patience with these children. I know their negative behaviors can be overkill. I know it seems like they're being rude when they're obsessed with their phones and all that and zoned out and all that. But
Right.
you know, again, just engage them and try to meet them where they are and do things with them, rapport build. I don't care if you're doing movie night or just six next to each other in the same room or whatever. It's just it's in steps.
Yeah.
But making sure that they don't feel isolated, even if you see them isolating themselves.
mhm.
Yeah.
You want to reassure them that that is not okay. I do have a 14-year-old nephew, and he likes to zone out. And my sister had to remove his video game system. You can't turn your brain into mush.
Right.
Yeah.
So she took that. His brain came back to life.
Let me write that down. Right, so you
comes back
listen.
to life.
Make sure I did. I shared the video with him, so hopefully he's tuning in. Did you hear that?
Well, how about this medication? People tend to medicate problems.
Ooh,
Mm.
yes.
Wow. We all do. We just do it in different ways.
Right.
Whether that's the healthiest method, absolutely not. It's the quickest method. So it's just like we was talking about preparing them meals. If you don't meal prep, you're gonna go with a microwave for it.
Mhm.
So we do it the same way. So we really have to practice healthy habits mentally every day. At the same time, if it's already past that point, you do have to stabilize first. Even if your goal is to not use medication or not encourage children to get on medication or would like to get them off medication, you have to stabilize the behavior first, because sometimes cognitive behavioral therapy, as you can all see, it's a lengthy process.
Mhm.
So we have to bring the behavior under control sooner than that process is exhausted. And that's what the role medication plays.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you couple that with the therapy, and then you wean them off the medicine.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's when it's intense. When you see the behavior not stabilizing, the mood is not improving. The suicide ideations or the behavior is becoming more extreme. Okay, now it's time to address it with a medicinal intervention in addition to a cognitive behavioral health intervention. And we need to not shy away from that either. It don't make your child crazy and don't make the parents a failure. It is what it is, at least for that moment.
Right.
And we have to take the necessary steps and do what's needed to stabilize the child and move them across the continuum to rehabilitation. And we can deal with all them titles later.
Yeah. Because they always
That's
trying
right.
to medicate these kids. They were trying to medicate
Oh, I
my
can't
child.
stand it.
He has ADHD.
Yeah.
It's like he's a boy.
Exactly.
And he's acting like a boy. That's why he's all over the place. And I would not do it, because I think it just paralyzes their brain. They just be looking
It
like
does.
in a zombie
And-
state. You know what I mean?
And
Just
then
don't wanna do
the
it.
parents sometimes they tend to over medicate, you know, and that's when they like that zombie. I had a student, and he used to come to class. I mean, he was like over
Zoomed out,
exuberant. No, not at first. He was like, I loved him because his energy and stuff was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then he came back to school the next day, and he was just like,
That breaks
in the
my
world, what
heart
happened?
when I see that.
I'm sorry.
That breaks my heart when I see that. I've seen that a lot in my career, and that makes my stomach a little queasy. But
Yeah.
I tend to encourage the parents, you have to implement some daily strategies. When you're looking at a child that's all over the place, that's a sign of anxiety. Anxiety is fear and worry, uneasiness. So I would look at their environment. Is there a lot of unpredictability in their environment? Is there a lot of yelling? Is there a lot of fear? Is there a lot of criticism? Like, what's going on to make the child demonstrate such a high degree of unrest? And that's what you're looking at. And they don't have the life experience to be able to turn that off across environments. So if he's like that at home, I can't just stop being like this at 8 just because I went to a new building.
Right.
So, you know, it's important to really pay attention to these children at home. And that's another reason why I Promise is built as well, just to teach these skills, but to also let them have a safe environment to play and have fun and all that. And we also run it as a summer camp as well that they automatically roll into in June. But, you know, again, giving children opportunity to express themselves freely outside of the parents, and teaching the parents, hopefully, the skills that they will practice when they're not with us.
Right.
Or in front of us, I should say.
Right.
You seem like you just love what you do. You have the knowledge for it, but you seem, yes, I can see the passion in, you know, what you do. So I wish you all the best, great success, everything you need, resources and everything. I'm serious. I really do mean that. And I hope that, you know, somebody's listening today who has those skills and things that you need will reach out to you or whatever. So can you leave, I guess, your website information on there?
Absolutely.
Even donations, even money, or, you know.
Absolutely. You can find all that on the website on how to get involved, how to partner on at www.lotusbhrsinc.org. Again, that's www.lotusbhrsinc.org. There you can chat live with someone at any time. You can enroll your child into services, and you can also find ways to get involved. We would love to have you. We would love to work with you. It takes a village, and we need more hands on deck.
Right. So did you say where your headquarters is?
Yes, we are located in the city of Baltimore at 1800 North Charles Street, Suite 808, Baltimore, Maryland 21202. Our headquarters is in San Diego, California.
Oh, okay.
1800 North Charles Street.
1800 North Charles Street, Suite 808, Baltimore, Maryland 21202. All the information is on the web as well. And please reach out. We need qualified, serious, licensed therapists. We need community hubs for these children, and we need a safe way, a group of dedicated people in safe, dedicated spaces to help these children.
Okay. I have all that stuff on the
Thank you all, ladies, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to let our voice be heard and share all the great things that we're doing for our youth here in Baltimore City. And feel free to invite us back at any time.
Yes,
absolutely.
Really enjoyed this. I enjoyed meeting you, and I would
thank
love
you.
to partner with you because we have the same passion. We want to, you know, that's why this platform is here.
Absolutely.
We want to help out people. We really do.
Right.
Okay, and thank you all listeners for tuning in. Hopefully that we can be of some support or some use to you in some way with regards to learning more useful ways to live healthy and maintain mental wellness. Please feel free to check us out on the web. Again, that's www.lotusbhrsinc.org.
Right. So real quick before we end, we have like 5 more minutes, I think.
Sure.
So do you know of any foods that that help the brain? Is it out there?
Of course. I can't necessarily say or, you know, become too obsessed with the label organic, but just making sure that your fruit and vegetables are real. Let's try to avoid eating out of a can, eating out of a box, and eating out of a bag. And when you replace that with more healthy vegetables, more healthy fruits, and you have to cook your food if you want to be healthy, use better sugars. Instead of white, use cane or brown. Instead of, well, they changed the name, it's not Aunt Jemima's, but whatever the new name is, instead of that brand, use maple. What else? If you do eat meat, don't eat it every day. What else? Take vitamins, ginger, lemons, limes, pineapples, cherries, beets, peaches, plums. These are all things we can do with what we got. I know, you know, we don't have a lot at all times, but we have enough to really make the right decisions when we go into the market.
You know,
the market should be spent in the produce section.
I have a question. Outside of the market of the grocery.
I have a question like vegetables. I do fresh vegetables like all the time, but I don't.
Which is why you're here at 79.
but I don't. Yeah, I just bagged some just the other night. But I don't season like I used to because I love smoked meat in my greens, but I don't use it anymore, and it's not as tasty. What I did, sometimes I do herbs, and liquid smoke. Wrong with mustard?
Liquid smoke. Did you hear that?
Liquid smoke.
That's it. I turned
liquid smoke.
But isn't liquid smoke a little salty?
Not too much. You need like a capful.
A little bit. You don't need a little bit. It's a teensy weensy bit. Don't use a lot. It's real potent. It's real potent.
I don't use any. But anything wrong with mustard?
Oh, you put mustard in your vegetables?
Yeah.
She put mustard on everything.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Oh man, you can always season with like your Tawanda was saying with herbs. I usually put in my greens because I'm a vegan, and I use I drop a half of an onion in there. I'll put fresh garlic cloves in there.
I like garlic.
And I put non-salt based seasonings. And if I want to add a little salt, I put some bouillon cubes in there and Himalayan salt. I don't use the granulated salt. I use the crystal Himalayan salt.
I have to put this.
That's all in my cabinet.
Because what happened when I got off of salt, every little bit seems like it's a lot. Then I have a son who has problem with pressure, high blood pressure. So I don't put any salt in his food. He's gotten used to eating.
Need to make his own food. I'm sorry.
He's only 59. Stop.
Brenda is on here. Brenda is bad when she said Nefertiti. She said, "Give me my meat." And we also have Lewis Taylor, who's Francis' brother, on here. And he was telling me to have a food fair.
That's important.
Yeah, he said have a food fair in the neighborhoods. He said, Tish, will there be a part 2 of last week's show with your mother? And we'll have Big Brother on the show one day. Love you. Well, anyway, Nefertiti, thank you so much.
Oh, you're most welcome.
We would love to have you on here again. We really enjoyed you.
Absolutely, anytime.
Be in touch, even offline, so we can.
Absolutely.
Yes, you are a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love it.
Vegan. I knew she was vegan.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So
anytime.
So nice meeting you as well.
Yes.
Likewise.
I love it. I love it.
Mary L. Farmer, chilling with the girls. We will see y'all next week. Bye. Have a great